monsters, madness, and magic.
Alright, folks, welcome to the Monsters, Madness, and Magic podcast. I'm your host, Justin, here with a quick word before we dive in. Now, in this episode, I chat with actor Alex Andersen about Elden Ring, Star Wars, landing the role of Ivar the Boneless in Vikings, imagination, and more. As always, thank you all for listening out there, and without further ado, here you go. Alright, Alex, take us back in time. You're a little kid. Would you consider yourself a book reader, a fort builder, troublemaker, or all the above?
Oh, goddamn, that's a good one. Fort builder.
Me too.
I created a lot of, I had a vivid imagination when I was younger, kind of got out of hand. And then as I got older, I figured out how to, control it. Now I sound like I was crazy. I wasn't, but I remember one time, we were on a small vacation, my family, me and my family, and we went to the summer house, and I found it a little boring, to be honest. I don't know. I was like 8, 9 years old, 10 maybe, and at that point in time, because I'm from 1994, so this must have been 2003, 2004 maybe. So that was before. When we were bored, we just, grabbed our iPad or tablet or wherever it was. At that point in time, it's ages ago, we would know, you had to find a stick in the garden and then, fight some beasts. And so I did that quite a lot, build a fort and fought off the beasts and the orcs and all that. So I was that kind of dude. And I reckon a lot of those hours in that garden were like, that was the first beginning of the real beginning of me maybe becoming some kind of an actor, fighting stuff that's not really there, but using a lot of imagination and pretending to get there. But it was hilarious because I came in after fighting off all these monsters in the garden, I came in and I was like, "Dad, I'm hungry. What's up?" And my dad just started laughing because for 3 hours straight, he'd been looking at just running around in the garden with myself and a stick. And he was like, "What is up with this kid?" Yeah, so that was the very beginning of the whole acting circus. So.
Now, you said that was the summer house, so like just generally, did you grow up in like a rural area or in the city or both?
Yeah, well, I'm from small town, 5,000 people, small town, and on an island in Denmark called Sealand, and it's roughly 120 kilometers outside of Copenhagen. So small town mentality and culture, and everybody knows everyone, and a lot of feels. Everyone has a garden. It's a brilliant way to grow up, and I enjoyed it very, very, very much. And I wish for my kids one day to have kind of similar a kind of similar place to grow up in, because it was safe and it was fun and it was very much in nature.
Are you still in the same area now?
No, I moved to Copenhagen. I had to work in education. I started studying film and media studies at the University of Copenhagen back in 2014 after high school, and so moved here to study that, and only did a year or so before I got Vikings, and I had to move to Ireland.
Wow.
And I stayed in Ireland to do Vikings for 3.5 years. So bye university. It was one of those where coincidences, just my destiny kind of just got picked.
Yeah.
And I know, I know, because it very much felt like when I got Vikings, I was like, oh, damn, I guess I guess I'm an actor now.
No choice.
Yeah, exactly. Felt very, was a little weird and not very comfortable because it, added a lot of pressure to a thing that I just kind of loved. I had a love relationship to, and but that point in time, I felt like, well, you can't miss an opportunity like this or take full advantage of it. So now I guess I have to be an actor, which is obviously so far from the truth. And I could be a carpenter tomorrow if I wanted to, but but it's been that way ever since, and it did freaking kick off all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So just sticking with your childhood, would you say that, either your parents or someone close to you, were they artistically inclined or creative in any way? You think that's where your roots come from?
Absolutely not. Yeah, no. My dad's both blue collars, and my mom works in administration, and my dad's a part-time firefighter and machinist, and I don't know where I have all that weird stuff from, but well, my mom says it's because you once were in the church choir, so everything that I ever have is from her, obviously. She
Mm.
says. Which is absolutely so incredibly far from the truth. Because, yeah, no, they don't. The creativity is not a word that we have in our name. Absolutely not. I have no idea where it's from. I guess I just had a lot of energy as a kid, and I needed some stimulation.
Yeah.
And I just, for some reason, figured out that being on a stage, thinking about where I'm standing, thinking about lines, my fellow actors, finding the light, and speaking loud and clear so everyone can hear me. All those elements, there's a lot of elements to acting, and I think all of those combined made me feel like I was stimulated for the first time in my life. So I guess that kind of got stuck with me.
Hmm. So when you think back to formative films and TV shows you grew up on, what comes to mind?
Hmm. Oh, Jesus. Films, Star Wars. My mom, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. Where's my lightsaber? Oh, wait, I'll show you that. I'm not done with it yet. How do I? I'm probably gonna break this now, but I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Wow,
it's
yeah.
the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. How long you been working on that?
A year and a half. That actually, I almost dropped that because I don't know how to carry it. Anyway, I do have a couple of lightsabers as well. So my answer would be Star Wars. Yeah, well, my mom, and I had the old VHS box of the original Star Wars, 4, 5, and 6, and I remember just holding that box because it was so pretty and it was so cool. And the design was amazing, and Darth Vader was on one side and Luke on the other, and that was the first time I really experienced some kind of magical world where I was it completely swallowed me,
Mm-hmm.
and then when the prequels came out, I was about the same age as Anakin for the Phantom Menace, Charlie. Into Menace. So I was like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Me. That's me. Pod racing, yeah, that's me. I was so I guess Star Wars had a lot to do with that as well. Me becoming who I became. I freaking loved that, and loved science fiction ever since.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite movies. Favorite genre for sure.
My dad was went to see the original Star Wars when it came out. So of course, when the prequels dropped, that was kind of his way of giving that experience to me, going to see Star Wars in the theaters, and it was just a huge spectacle. Did you go see the prequels in theaters too?
Uh, I think I have.
Hmm.
I think I have. I'm not quite sure. I should have had a clear memory of it. But Yeah, no, I can't remember, but I guess I have. But the VHS box, the old ones, the classics, that's the experience that I remember. I
Yeah.
remember watching them over and over again, and rewinding them because you had to. Amazing, by the way, analog, love that. Uh, Everything's too quick nowadays. Waiting for a movie to rewind so you can watch it again. Magical experience.
VHS is making a comeback.
Oh my God.
Hmm. Everything gets a return.
It should. It should. It should. Good stuff. Yeah. I bought a CD the other day. No, that's a lie. I didn't buy it. It was placed outside a cafe here in Copenhagen, and there was a sign where it said, "Just pick one," because it was free. And I picked which one? White Lies, uh, White Lies rock band.
Okay.
I because I have a small time like a garage band.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm meeting them in 45 minutes, or something like that when we're done, and you play one of their songs, White Lies, and it's called "Farewell to the Fairground." Look that up. It's a magical one. It's fucking amazing.
Damn, I will. So
Yeah.
what kind of music was playing around the house when you were growing up?
Oh, growing up, that's got to be some Danish stuff. Maybe Simple Red, actually. Simple Red. I just bought tickets for Simple Red for Christmas uh, for Christmas for my parents, and really looking forward to that. But that's the sound of my parents. My dad's a big music guy. He loves it. So we've listened to a lot of Jean-Michel Jarre. He's like 80s. It's also Talking Heads, Dire Straits, and Tears for Fears, obviously Tears for Fears, and REM, 80s stuff. And that would be the soundtrack of for my dad for sure.
So do you play guitar? Do you sing? What are you doing in the
I
band?
play a little guitar, but in the band I'm singing. Obviously, hey, I'm an actor. Of course, I'll have to stand in front. What are you talking about? What am I doing in the bag with the bass? And I'm like,
Right.
even though I wish I would be the bass guy because they look so damn cool. But no, I play little keys and sing a few songs, and that's it. Yeah.
So how early on did you start playing music? Is it just a recent thing you picked up, or were you also like playing as a kid?
Well, I don't know. Teenage years, I picked up a guitar and put on some YouTube and taught myself a few chords, and that's it, basically. And you know, it's been fire pit quality ever since. It's not been more than that, but it's incredibly enjoyable, and it was one of those where I could really get into it. I could become a nerd about it.
Yeah.
I could really focus in on that one thing, and I've always had that gene in me where if I find something interesting, if it's fighting monsters in the garden or in the backyard, or if it's learning a new instrument, I can lose myself for hours in that. And sometimes it's not very practical. I get late for meetings because I'm playing Witcher 3 for the first time, or Elden Ring or something like that, or I'm learning about carpentry, or I don't know, something like that.
Dude, see, I love the lore behind Elden Ring, but I'm just not good enough. I'm just not good enough for that game.
I finished Elden Ring twice and the DLC as well. And what a game. The lore though, it's pretty. There's a guy on YouTube who does these only lore oriented videos.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of the thumbnail is kind of cheesy. It's like, this will make you cry. And then it's like the story of Nicola or something like that. And but I watched those and I'm like,
Yes.
they're doing a movie. They're doing a movie about it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Alex Garland, who just did the war movie for A24.
Shit.
I literally saw that from Deadline, and uh, I sent that to my agent saying, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to get in that.
I don't care if I'm gonna be a background with like a weird ass mask on. I just want to be a part of it. Yeah, they're doing an Elden Ring movie. Tease release.
So, like, I love the lore. Like I said, I watch all the lore videos too. But I remember the first time playing it, just like most people, you go out into the open, and the guy on the horse just beat my ass for like 3 straight hours. I didn't realize you could just walk around him. Like just walk around the dude. You don't have to fight this guy.
Exactly, and I didn't know that because I haven't played any of those other Souls games, so I don't know the ups and downs and the ins and outs. I don't know that, not at all. So I just see this boss, and I'm like, well, damn, this game is hard. Yeah, am I doing something wrong? What's this? Where's the introduction? Goddamn! Oh, I just did the introduction, but why am I meeting this guy now? But yeah, I didn't finish before I killed him. I couldn't move on before I had killed him. So yeah, that took me 2.5 hours or so.
Yeah, I had to go back to playing Skyrim after that for a little bit.
I've heard Skyrim is having a comeback as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they just had the Oblivion remaster release.
Yeah, the remaster release. Yeah, I've never played Skyrim, but
Be careful if you get started.
It'll take all of your time. Steal the whole damn thing.
So were you a gamer as a kid as well?
Yeah, I've always used gaming as a kind of one thing stimulation and all that, but a way to just rewind stress out, get rid of some stuff, just calm down. I've always used it as a tool for that, for just settling in. So that and I still use it for that. It's pretty effective to me.
Yeah.
And it's a little cheat, a little treat I give myself once in a while, and freaking love it. What did I play? Max Payne. I remember playing on PC back in the day. Max Payne 2, I guess it was. Way too violent for me at that age, but I didn't tell my mom. And what else? I was never a WoW guy. What did I play? Oh, a lot of American sports. I've spent a lot of hours in Madden.
Me too.
I had a phase in around 14, 15 years old or so, where I just, American sports, and particular football. And I played Madden for ages. And I did this thing with my mom. She thought I was a little autistic because she would go to the NFL shop, and then she would say the name and the number of the name of the club, the team, sorry, and the number of the jersey, and then I was blindfolded, and then I was mentioning or saying out loud what the name was. So if it was like Chicago Bears 54, Brian Urlacher,
yeah,
that kind of right, and to me it was pretty easy because I'd spend hours in
that's just a superpower that comes from playing Madden.
Madden. When I spent hours, and my mom could not figure out how I was able to do that. And I was like, yeah, don't tell her. Don't tell her. It's too much gaming, Mom. It's pretty freaking simple.
So a question I like to ask everyone is, what scared you as a kid?
I was pretty unafraid. But what scared me? Maybe some empty spaces under the bed, leaving the bed at night, going to pee or something like that. And, you take your feet out and you're like, your imagination just takes the piss on you. And it's like, oh, wait, I'm not sticking my feet down. Wait, maybe something like that.
Right.
I remember I had a moment at a very young age where I was like, wait, there's got to be something under. And basements. dark basements. Freaking damn. Yeah, no basements. They could play a trick on me for sure.
So were you
Even
ever
my own, even my own.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a horror movie guy.
Well, I've never really. No, not as a kid. No, not really. No,
That's probably a good
no.
thing.
Yeah, probably a good thing. No, I never really got into them. Um, I can't even remember one that I've seen recently that I really liked. Maybe It Follows or something like that.
Mm.
But that's about it. Probably the genre that I watch the least,
Okay.
actually. But I can appreciate them for sure.
Yeah.
They're really cool. And what's that Australian one? Oh, there's an Australian one that we watched. Me and the guys from university. If they were here, they would yell a lot of stuff at me right now, and I would be able to answer. But there's an Australian one. I'll figure it out.
Is it Wolf Creek?
Wolf Creek? I don't know, man. It's a little weird, and it's like it's black and white at one point in time. I don't know. Anyways, forget about it. I can't. That's not a good topic for me.
I'll find it
If
later.
I find those, we could get going.
So would you classify yourself as a theater drama kid growing up? Did you start early in school plays and stuff like that?
Yeah, I went through that. Yeah, but that's not when I got hooked. I mean, I did the school play, and I could sing a little, and so I got some parts there. But that's about it. Never really something, not a big thing at all. Uh, Probably more like I probably wanted to play soccer instead, or handball, or any other Danish sport. I was more into that. Uh, but after that, at the age of maybe 11, 12, something like that, talking about, as I mentioned before, the whole problem of me feeling fully stimulated, my mom took action and signed me up for some local theater. And that was, as I mentioned before, that was the first time I was on stage and felt like I was something clicked there.
Yeah.
Felt like this made sense to me. And from there on, I got into a drama school in Copenhagen. And throughout my teenage years, I lived half my life in my hometown while going to school, and then my other half in Copenhagen, where my mom and dad would drive me to drama school 3 or 4 times a week. And I did plays for that drama school as well. And that's when it really took off, and I really started thinking about acting, and dreams started to form in my head and all that. But it was still, I'm still too much of a small town guy to ever imagine that could be a career. So when I was done with high school, I that was regular high school. I didn't have any drama class or anything like that. But after that, I went to university, studied film and media science, because I was thinking, well, yeah, just a regular university dude trying to just learn something so I can come out and get some kind of job. But so the whole acting thing, it just came because I went to an audition. It was not at all formed, or it's not from my parents. It wasn't in the cards, not at all.
Wow. So during your time on stage, was stage fright ever an issue, or musically is stage fright an issue, something you had to deal with?
Because I always wanted to be in center, So no, no, I know. No, I was pretty regular dude, a normal human being scared of being on stage. But when you got up on stage, you realized, oh, this is fun, and then it got better and better and better, and that's the short story. That's basically how it was. I was never really afraid of it. I mean, I can still be anxious, or nervous, or excited. Some say you should say excited instead of nervous. There's some truth to that, but sometimes I'm also just freaking nervous. Not excited. I'm just straight up 100% not feeling great. I'm nervous. But you know, it's that's a part of it. And it's the cool thing is when you overcome that stuff and you end up enjoying it anyway, but also freaking nailing it because you're hyper focused because you feel like you're about to die. If so, right? So, it's a nature placed defense mechanism that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you just heard about this audition for this show while you were in college and you just said, fuck it,
Exactly.
let's just go try it. And that was it.
Pretty much, man. Absolutely. I was at a music festival in Denmark. It's called Roskilde Festival. It's one of the biggest ones in Europe. And so I was 20, 21. So, I was not able to drive anywhere. But the audition was in Stockholm, which is like 6.5 hours of drive. And I decided, along with a buddy of mine, his name is Marco, and he got a part on the show as well. I just done a short film with him a month before. So we met up on Roskilde Festival and decided, okay, we're going to borrow your mom's car and we're going to do that tomorrow. And so we leave the festival tonight, get some kind of rest. We meet in Copenhagen. We steal your mom's car. We drive 6.5 hours to Stockholm to do 20 minutes of an audition. And then we go all the way back, and we hope to be able to get back before Kendrick Lamar goes on. The last thing didn't happen. We were way late. So about a couple of hours, I was freaking furious. So furious. 20 minutes of an audition. I've been driving almost the whole way because Marco ended up being a little sick. Obviously, we've been on a festival for 5 days straight. Smelled like urine. And, it was awful, just awful. But we did something right. I don't know if our horrible, nasty, gray voices were the ones that hey, that sounds intense. Who are these guys? Wow, very cool. But we were just sick. Music festival. But yeah, that was the pretty much the first real audition, besides the self tape on Vikings, and from there on we were invited to Ireland. 14 guys left, all blue eyes, different nationalities, and we were sitting there in the canteen at the studios, Ashford Studios in Ireland, down in Wicklow, an hour south of Dublin, and we were sitting there for 6 hours or so, just auditioning.
Was it specifically for Ivar that you were auditioning for, or was it just a general audition?
Absolutely not. I auditioned for all the other brothers. They were trying to find 4 brothers: Victor, Ugo, Ivar, and Sigurd. And I was auditioning for all the other guys except Ivar. And it wasn't until like 5 hours in that Frank Moselle, our casting director, comes down and he pokes me on the shoulder and he's like, "Could you read for Ivar?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, no problem." And I was not ready for that. Anyway, in Ireland, they would say you were shitting bricks. Pardon my French. But so I did that for half an hour, tried to figure out this scene and this new character and all that. And it was my time eventually, and I got out there with 3 other dudes, and we did the scene, and I remember asking Michael Hurst, who's the creator of Vikings. I asked him, "What's up with this character?" Because I did not have a clue. And he told me Ivar suffers from this disease, and I asked him, is he used to that disease? Was he born with it? Is he in pain? Has he been in pain his entire life? to that, Michael answered that, yeah, he would guess so. Yeah. And then in my mind, I was like, if he was born with this disease, then he's used to it. He's not acting it. And maybe that came from 5 hours of auditioning with all the other guys playing Ivor, and they were kind of simulating the pain, simulating his disease. And there was just something off in that. To me, they did a great job and all that, but there was something not clicking and all of that. So I think it helped me auditioning for Ivor, not knowing anything about him, because it became more straightforward, not too thought. And yeah, so I just did the scene, completely screw up the first take and the second take, and I was talking to myself, asking myself, okay, are you gonna do this now? Huh? It's your big chance, and now you can't even get through the line. Come on. But then the third take, I got through the entire scene, and apparently I got the part from that take, because that's the only full take I ever did on Ivor. And
Wow.
I got the part, which was so weird. So when they called me and told me I'd gotten the part, I had to ask what part, because I had no freaking clue. Yeah, weird, so weird, amazing, but also very humbling experience, and a learnful experience as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you made your debut on screen in season 4.
Season 4, absolutely correct.
Were you aware or a fan of the show beforehand?
Yeah, I'd been watching some of it while auditioning for it. And I watched some of it while I was studying for the exams at the university. So whenever I had, my brain was full and I needed a break, I watched Vikings, because I knew I was gonna audition for it, in 2 weeks' time. So and that was one way to, get the accent going, and kind of figure that one out, because that's a big deal. And so I was a fan of the show when I knew everything about it. Yeah, and I'd watched everything up until then, at that point in time.
Just curious. I know he's sort of loosely based on a historical figure. Did you ever look into that at all?
Yeah, obviously you have to do historical research
Yeah.
when you're talking about a period piece, and you have to respect that. There's all sorts of elements into that. To me, it was mostly about the human side of it, understanding him, understanding Ivor the Boneless. Why is he called the Boneless? What's his disease? Osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bone disease. What is that? Understanding that fully, understanding what that does to a human being mentally, physically. And so that was a lot of the research, because, a lot of people ask that question and expect me to say, yeah, I know everything about Viking culture. And I didn't have to, because we were portraying human beings, regular people, farmers, families, sons, fathers, brothers and sisters. And that was the main part of it. And to have that focus, I believe, is also the reason why Vikings became such a hit show and continued on for so long, because they never lost the humans out of it.
Right.
Because if you have an entire show that's solely based on bloody Vikings yelling at each other, and it's all out action, you're gonna lose interest at some point. And that was my main mission was to create a 3-dimensional character, that was more broken on the inside than he was on the outside, which says a lot when you suffer from brittle bone disease. So that was my job. So that's what I put all my effort into. When I was all that other stuff, all that Viking stuff, we are handed that because they put so much effort into the mise en scène, the costumes, the hair, the makeup, the weapons, the art department, the freaking art department, the settings. We were on top of a mountain almost 50% of the time shooting. I mean, how are you not gonna feel like a Viking?
Yeah.
And if you put 300 extras behind me, who's all in hair, makeup, and costume, and they have gear down to the belly button, and they're all old guys with wrinkles everywhere, and they're yelling at you, screaming for you because you're a leader of the pack. How can you not get carried on?
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess just from, emotionally, or what you have to do as an actor, what would you say was the most challenging scene that you had to film as Ivor?
And it's a good question because it's a hard question because there are different kind of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Some are extremely physical. Some are incredibly cold, wet, long. Some scenes are horrible in that regard. And then some other scenes are takes 2 hours and it's inside the studio. But you are listening to your wife giving birth. And it's freaking off. And you almost get sick from all the screaming you're listening to. Or you are saying goodbye to a brother who's dying or something like that. Or a foster father, you're going to say goodbye to for the last time. And, that's a quick scene. That's 2-3 hours in the woods on a sunny day. Amazing. But it's tough mentally because, you're bawling your eyes out and you're getting into it because it's hard not to get emotional because you spent 3 years with that guy and now you're saying goodbye to him. So it almost feels like a closure of a personal friendship as well, which, obviously it isn't, but those, when you were working on a TV show like that and we were working on it for 10, 11 months, a year, it was my life. It kind of merges your professional life and your private life. I mean, it completely merges and it infiltrates each other. And I was drinking beers and partying and feeling alive personally with all the people that I was working with. They became my family on and off screen. So those things are really hard to separate. And sometimes, professionally, I'm not bringing work home, but just in a personal matter, it's very hard to separate those two things, which gave some great ammo for me when I was going to be emotional or excited to see someone or anything like that, right? It's hard not to become your character in some kind of way.
Yeah. And, speaking with actors over the years, and, us non-actors, we always hear the term method acting.
Mhm.
But what I've kind of pieced together talking to folks is it seems like each actor has their own individualized method
Mhm.
that works for them. So what's your method?
Well, I'm not a method actor. That's
Mm.
one. I don't know anything about that. Obviously I'm not trained. So I really don't know what the F I'm doing, really. And it sounds like, oh yeah, you're just acting rumble and all that, but genuinely I have not a single clue. I base it on what I do is based on instincts, gut feeling, but also preparation, and also uh, Alan Rickman. I watched the video of Alan Rickman saying that the best thing you could do as an actor is develop your taste. So I've done that quite a bit while studying film and media studies. For instance, developing your taste, uh, have an opinion, show up to work on time, work hard, have an opinion, come up with some ideas. That's my method. And then I have my little tricks and things here and there that I got my cards and I pull some of them, but basically fundamentally it's about all the work before that. Finding an interest in what you're doing, show up and be interested in what you're doing and ask questions and have a standard. Don't just freaking do it. Just ask questions. Why are we doing this? Why shouldn't my character do this? Why I don't feel the motivation for this? Take it seriously.
Right.
I think that's fundamental stuff that I rely on. And all that other stuff is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the other stuff that I just mentioned, that always works. That's fundamental. Well, fundamental elements that you have to get into in order to do your job properly. And you can wing it, and it's okay. What's that story with Marlon Brando thinking about lunch?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh wow, that's amazing! Oh, he's really into it." Well, but he's just thinking about lunch, and there's some truth to that as well. Sometimes I'm better when I'm thinking less, and maybe just loosening up and just listening instead of, thinking about all my ideas and all that. So, but sometimes my ideas are also there, and making it better. So it's a constant balance between all of that. I guess that was an answer.
I like the story of the story between Laurence Olivier and Dustin Hoffman, where Hoffman's basically have you tried acting? Yeah, it's just even though both methods work, everybody's got their own thing.
But it's true, and it's because I look to someone like Daniel Day-Lewis and you're like awestruck because you're like, wow, now, and it's amazing, and Heath Ledger, and I couldn't do it. I can do it. I'm too aware. Even though I've talked about my imagination and fighting monsters in the backyard for 3 hours straight, I'm not. My imagination and my ability to live another life is I can't do that. I mean, that's too far out. I'm too aware. I think.
Yeah.
I'm too aware. So, and that kind of, then I lose the plot. Yeah, because you have to immerse yourself into that. I don't think I'm certain of that. I'm capable of that. But also I find interest in something else. I believe Daniel Day-Lewis finds an enormous interest in becoming someone else. I find an enormous interest in solving issues and problems on set. How do we figure out this scene? How do I make this character appear this way to make him feel, or make him feel like this, or make him appear in a certain way for the audience to understand what he's going through or something like that. I'm more in that way oriented, and that's what I find interesting. Finding the camera, understanding that if I maybe say all the lines this way, but I have one certain line that's really interesting, and I'll wait to find the camera on that certain line, then it has some kind of energy or there's all these little dots and little screws that you can tick, 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 and I think that's hilarious. I think that's, yeah.
Was there an adjustment period for you from mainly doing all your stuff on stage and the screen and then from stage to screen? Was the camera a big adjustment for you?
Oh, freaking, yeah. That took me 3 years to figure out. It's a perfect question and a right question, because there is a difference. There's a massive difference. And especially with my background, which was theater, and especially Disney kind of children theater, which is very loud and very much articulated, so everyone could understand what you were saying, and very big and very, and the camera is just the opposite. It's the small things, it's the details, it's the subtlety, all that stuff, right? It's the show it, don't tell it, which is almost the opposite on theater, which is obviously not right, but you get the point. Um, and yeah, massive transition, understanding, basically an understanding. I had to just become a smarter human being, smarter actor, understanding, oh, there is a difference. You can't just, I can't just pluck and play what I've done earlier. There's a massive transition technically as well as mentally, and the work ethic is different. The day at a job is different if you're in front of a camera or if you're on stage. It's vastly different. So yeah, massive transition. But I think that came naturally by just developing my taste and watching a lot of movies and really getting into those and understanding as I got older and smarter. Oh, that's what they're doing. That's why this works. Because if I had tried to replicate that with the way that I'm acting now as a 15-year-old, it's going to be horrible and it's not going to feel real. So, yeah. And yeah, authenticity, or at least search for authenticity was one way as well. You can also be authentic on a stage. So I don't know what I'm yapping on about, but there's elements to that, and I hope my point is coming.
Yeah. I just got a couple more for you, man. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay. No stress, man.
What is the best acting advice you've received, and who gave it to you?
Yeah, maybe. I once had a colleague of mine tell me something that made me open my eyes a bit more to what I was telling myself. Because I was a little negative in the way I was speaking about my own work and my own acting. I was describing it as lying. Acting is lying. I pretend for a living, that kind of thing. And I guess I never understood what that meant, not really. And I kind of probably said it to sound cool, fun, as a joke. But there was but it's disregarding it. It's because it's not about lying. It's actually about telling the truth, or at least trying to tell the truth. And that kind of made me open my eyes to a different approach towards my acting. Not downgrade it, but kind of actually respect it and upgrade it. I thought that was that was a very intelligent note I got here. One that I could use at that point in time, because and I sometimes still feel like, damn, again, I'm pretending here, I'm lying. There's no meat on this character. I mean, okay, let's just get over with this scene because it's not very well written. That will happen. Always happen. But find honesty and truth in some of it, at least fundamentally. Yeah, and all that stuff would never freaking ever judge your character. Always defend your character because they truly believe they're right in their own sense. And I mean, that's an old song. Everyone talks about it, but it's true. And it helped me a lot with Vikings because Ivar the Boneless was on the edge all the time. Either you hated him or you loved him. But I never truly understood why people were so afraid of him and so hateful of him, because to me it was obvious he was just a little kid overcompensating for suffering from a disease and being handicapped in a society that could not embrace his disease. And so yeah, to me, he was, yeah, as I said before, more broken on the inside than on the outside. And to me, that was obvious. So I was actually, I felt for him instead of judging him. For
Mm,
sure. Yeah. And I think that's, if I do that, if you don't do that as an actor, that's my point. If you don't do that as an actor, it will never come across to the audience.
yeah.
Then he will for sure be a two-dimensional character.
I was uh I was speaking with Michael Ironside a while
Oh,
back, and he always people always come up to him and you're like, "Man, you always play the bad guy. You know, you're such a bad guy." And he's like, to him, none of his characters are bad guys because, like you just said, you can't judge him either good or the bad guy because to that guy, I'm right.
mhm.
So yeah, that just goes to what he said. I think Charles Dance said something similar too because he always plays a
Yeah,
bad guy.
yeah. Charles Dance pretty known for bad guys as well. Came cool with Fright. And yeah. No, there's a great quote that I used from Hamlet, Shakespeare, a method to the madness. And I love that. I really love that. Method to the madness.
That's nice.
That feels nice.
So this is a question I like to ask at the end, and it's have you ever had an experience that you would consider supernatural, paranormal, or encountered an event you can't explain?
I don't know, man. No, because I've always been I've always been one of those that call that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from where I'm coming from, that's ludicrous. It's and then working with what I'm working with, and being in touch with supernatural, and I'm just myself and feelings and human beings, and I've gotten a bit more spiritual, and but I don't know if I've had a supernatural experience. Because you know what, a great example. This is great. I have great examples for everything. Freaking yesterday, TV kept turning on, and we were in bed, my girlfriend and I. It was a little weird, and it done that once before, and now that we've gotten a dog, sometimes he, feels like he sees things, and he starts making some sounds like he's protecting something from something, and we're like, what are you doing? So there's maybe something happened. I don't know what it was. The TV turned on yesterday night, and I was like, "What is that?" And I turned it off 4 times, and it just kept switching on. Weird. And I started looking around, and I was, looking out the window, seeing if someone was playing a trick on me outside, and and then I ended up pulling out the batteries from the remote, and nothing happened after that. So I was like, God damn it. It could have been cool if it was something.
Yeah,
But
more fun.
no, usually I'm not really into that. I haven't had like a wow. Not here not as if you gave me an hour, I could probably find something, but not here, not right now. But yeah, the TV's acting weird, man.
Change those batteries.
That's exactly one way of saying it.
Well, Alex, just to put a bow on this thing, man, is there anything on the horizon coming up for you that you can share without getting in trouble?
Yeah, man. No. I have a new movie coming out, but it's Danish one. Boo, already. But it's no, it's my first lead back home here in Denmark. Uh, it's a period piece, 1927, but it's also a crime. So it's basically the Peaky Blinders, but without the mafia, but more like the third man.
Mm,
The more of a mystery. But I look a little bit like Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer with the hat and the high waist trousers. Yeah, cool look. But yeah, I'm the leader of this the police squad that are investigating this murder in a small Danish town. So that's coming out here in September. It's a big one. It's a biggie.
What was the name of it again?
It's called, roughly translated, the Traveling Squad. It's a police unit that it's called in Danish Rejsehold, which it's the most known and famous police unit that we have back home in Denmark. It stopped existing back in the 2000s. Yeah, I don't know. But it was up until then. There's been TV shows about it and movies about it and all that. So, but now we're doing the first case that they ever had back in 1927, and it's real. It's a real cool cinematic piece. The director is 50% director, 50% cinematographer. So it was as an actor who's technically oriented and also a bit of a photographer myself. It was immense pleasure running around on that set and seeing how particular they were on everything within the frame. So that was real cool.
We're going to go ahead and speak this into existence. You also have that Elden Ring movie coming up.
Yeah. let's do that. Let's speak it into existence. Elden Ring. Go look at some lore. Sorry, I have to cut this now because I'm looking at some lore now on YouTube.
Alex, dude, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, dude. You have
my pleasure, Justin. I appreciate you, man.
You have a great rest of your day, man.
Yeah,
Good luck at practice.
Thank you. You have a good one, man.
Bye-bye.